Welcome into the News4JAX Varsity 4 podcast. Justin, Barney, Sponge Franklin. We are back at it. High School Football Media Day today. This is August 1st, new month, new school year, just about to start. August 23rd, first games. Man, first games of Georgia are actually a week before that, August 16th. So, man, Sponge, it is officially here.
Classics coming, preseason, practices in going, everything is fired up, and it starts, obviously with having the guys in here today, seeing those kids getting ready for the season, and they're just like super excited for the season to be here, and we're rolling now, baby.
It's real, man. It is real. And since the last time we talked, a lot of changes have happened in the high school landscape. We've got name, image, and likeness. That is officially official. Was passed by the Florida Board of Education last month. We have a championship division, although that's not coming until 2025, and that's going to pit the 8 top teams in the state, regardless of classification, in their own championship division. So that should maybe thin out some of the guys like the Chaminades and the heavyweights, the Aquinas, that have kind of had a monopoly on state championships. So I think that is going to be a big change. Of course, that's not until 2025, but big change now, I think, is name, image, and likeness is official in Georgia last year, and now it's been signed off in Florida. So we got name, image, and likeness in the state of Florida for high schoolers, and I think the big fear is that it becomes what we've seen like in college. Yeah, I don't think it's.
We talked about that on when they first initially announced it, and I still don't feel like it's going to be out of control. It's going to be one of those things that's going to be kind of a wait and see approach where let's see what these guys do. Let's see how it is, instituted where, nobody's getting these huge deals of like Mercedes-Benz trucks. They're going to get, like you said, maybe a restaurant deal where the offensive lineman comes in and gets like free ribs for the season or something.
Right.
And then, something to where guys can have like, merchandise deals or something to where it's like scratch your back, I scratch yours, you scratch mine. Right. That type of stuff. I don't think it's going to be chaos, ensuing like, let's try to get transfers over here by paying these guys. Maybe down the road, we'll see. But as of right now, I don't think it's going to go that way.
I don't think so either. I think it'll be what I think you got to be worried about is tax implications of name, image, and likeness. When you're talking any kind of monetary anything, things get a little bit slippery.
Yeah.
And I think I would probably be more worried about street smart people coming in and trying to get a foothold on a high school junior or senior so that they plant that seed or get them to sign some. There was a Florida Gators player who had some issue come up where he signed over an NIL deal or something at college, and it pertained to his NFL money. Right. I think those are things you have to worry about because you're going to be dealing with, you're not talking to tax, we're not talking Carson Becks of the world who have layers of people to help them navigate that, college and family. You're talking about kids who are probably from inner city schools or don't have the backing,
the education
around them to help inform them that they may be signing something away for their future rights. So I do think something like that is bound to happen anytime you introduce money and things like that are a possibility. So I do worry about NIL from that regards, people taking advantage of high school kids and their families. I don't think we are going to see the Jamie Frenches of the world, the Tramel Jones, getting Lamborghini type deals. I just don't see that.
They'll get that at the state, at LSU, at Texas.
Right.
That's where they're going to see that stuff. Right. Those are, again, down the line. They basically have 6 more months of high school ball to where they're going to get a little perk, maybe a little knock up, and then they'll get the big boy stuff when they move on to the next level and produce there. So that I think it's good maybe for the interim just to give some of these 5-star kids a little bump in something, and what it'll just bring is attention to your team. Like we always say, when you have a team full of 4 or 5 stars, some of the other guys they kind of get noticed. So it's like just like recruiting. If people are coming out, the coaches are coming to watch Jamie practice, they find some other guys. So it's all about the relativity of understanding that this is for the big name players and not your backups and stuff. So then, but again, this is the brand new year of it, so we'll see where it goes in the future.
Right, and I do think we will see that seedy underbelly of people in street agents and stuff come out. It's bound to happen. It always does. Anytime there's something new and exciting and it's a nascent industry, I do think you will see that shadiness come about. Hopefully it will not be as bad.
Right.
Georgia last year instituted that middle football season. It did not have a lot of kids benefit from that.
Right.
So maybe as things become a little bit clearer and people analyze a little bit more, GHSA and FHSA added in bylaws to cover the collective areas and that type of thing where these collectives are getting growing in the groundswell of stuff. And in college, they've been great for one thing and terrible on the other. So I do think you're going to worry about that now that we're started football season and this was just officially signed off on a week and a half ago. I think you're going to start seeing some of these NIL deals pop up a little bit more. Hopefully it's above board and kids and their families don't get burned tax-wise and stuff.
Exactly.
But there's always that learning curve. I think we're going to see some of that learning curve this season. High school football season, August 16th in Georgia, August 23rd in Florida. So switching gears, high school football media day today. We just came off about a 2-hour broadcast of kind of our Varsity 4, our new rebrand. So instead of a Varsity, News4JAX Varsity, it's going to be Varsity 4, News4JAX Varsity 4. So we're going to be coming to you every week during the high school football season, video and audio. So Sponge and I love doing this. It's always exciting to sit down and talk about high school football. And today's kind of the kickoff of it all. I got to see a lot of players that get to chat with as many as I usually do because we were tied to our anchor desk. Sorry we didn't get a chance to have everybody on here, but a TV broadcast a little bit different than actually being able to go and talk to people. So apologies if we didn't get the chance to see or talk to you. Kind of fast and furious.
But, definitely.
It's exciting. The air just changes. It feels different once high school football season gets here.
It's like, you got training camp with the NFL going. You got the college guys getting back in the groove. You got the high school kids hitting the field. Like we always say, that smell of the grass and, early August.
True thing.
It is. It's a real deal. That fresh cut grass in the morning times is just, it hits different. So it's like, it's football time is here. And like I say, today, definitely is like the kickoff of, seeing the kids, they're ready to go. Everybody's fired up, clean slate, 0-0, state championship aspirations, so it's like now it's time to get to the practice field, get to that week 1, and then let the season play out. And then hopefully you're in, the state championship in December, and we'll see what happens. We have a few teams that I think can make a run this year for sure.
Yeah, we got a lot of changes in terms of classifications and stuff. Suburban Metro is gone, and talked about that a good bit, but a bunch of suburban counties, the Clays, the Nassaus, St. John's, those type of counties were put in their own bracket for the last couple of years. The Metros, which is the Duvals, the Miami-Dades, Browards, those guys went into their own Metro classification to separate those powers. And we had great championship games. St. Augustine and Mainland was an epic 21-19 Mainland win.
A great game.
So just so many good games. And now we're back to the system we initially started with, which is 1A through 7A. Also, the rural division is still back, so that's the Union County types, those smaller rural counties. They have their own. So we have 8 classifications, but everybody's back together now.
Yeah.
So you're going to see the Mandarins in there with the Bartrams, the St. Augustines and the Columbia. All those guys are going to be back together, going for the swimming in the same pool in terms of trying to get that one state championship. Do you like that, Sponge? Did you like the old system better?
It's weird. It's double-edged because it's like you kind of liked it because it kind of gave some of the groups a chance in a sense, but then it's like, going back to the open division where it's like, let's put all the people in the pot and who's really the best, so you got to bang with your metro suburban guys are all in that mix. So who comes out on top? So it's like, I do kind of like that in a sense to where it's like you're banging with everybody, but then it's like, okay, I see where it was good where you had your suburban guys that can maybe win. And then your rural guys, Metro, obviously can. It gave more opportunity,
right?
So I think that it's you could take it either way. I feel like if you're one of the best, you don't care who you're playing,
right?
So you just want to get there to the end, and whether you're playing a team that's from the metro area or a suburban style team, let's go. So basically, I think the coaches are like, it is what it is. That's the approach they got to take. It's who's on my schedule, I got to play them. So, it's not a big deal to me per se, but it definitely gives less of a chance for some of our teams to win.
Yeah, it leveled the playing field, I think, having Suburban Metro, and I did think we were going to see maybe a Suburban State champion.
Yeah.
Didn't come to pass. No area team has won an FHSA 11-man title since Trinity Christian in 21, the last of their back-to-back titles. That was 2021 for Trinity, and Trinity to me was a state contender every year.
Yeah, no,
UC was a state contender every year, and I think with that Metro division, Trinity UC went in the same class. It really toughened it up because you had the Chaminades, which is that powerhouse program. I mean, Chaminade is kind of the poster child for wanting to do a championship division because you're an all-star team.
Well, what's crazy too is Chaminade. When my last few years at Trinity, that's who we played, and they kind of came on the scene and kind of flipped from to where they were several years ago. They were always really good, and they kind of went in spurts and waves where they weren't as good, but then they've obviously ramped back up, getting the studs down there. They're taking over, the whole city of Miami with the best players. So they've obviously made it to where it's like tough to where if you're in that classification, it doesn't matter if you're Metro or Suburban, they're winning it all.
Yep.
So the whole new open division will definitely be an interesting aspect of, you're playing 3A, 2 or 3A Chaminade, but guess what? They can bang with the 6 and 7, 8A teams just like, no business. So I think that it definitely made it tough when obviously Trinity and UC go in one. It's like when they were split and one was in 2A and we were in 3A, like that deal, you knew that both of them could get to that state championship. Well, once they were in the same class, you were like, well, one of them's going and one of them's not.
Right.
So that definitely was, you're Xing one of your teams out off the rip.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how, the changes and whoever plays who to get there, be hopefully that one of the teams can make it.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because Mandarin was the biggest classification for the years, and there was Sandalwood, and now Mandarin is in 6A.
Yeah.
So they've dropped the classification, and they're in there with Bartram.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, you have those matchups back and you aren't going to play them in a state playoff system under the old system. So I like that in that aspect. Means you can only have a Mandarin or Bartram now instead of going deep in the playoffs. So,
exactly.
Mandarin is, to me, the team to beat in our area this year. 11-4, played for a state championship last season, lost to Columbus, the team they beat for their only other state championship. I asked Toby Bullock earlier today, and he said, man, I wish we'd get another crack at Columbus and see if we could even the score.
Yeah.
That series is 1-1 now, but Columbus is in a separate classification than Mandarin this year. I unveil. I know you and I do our Super 10 throughout the year, but I did a preseason Super 10 today, and tell me if you agree with these.
Basically, when I looked at it, I was like, it's pretty dead on. I think I would have the same top 5 right now. 6 through 10, I might have somebody else different or have a reorder. So when I break it down, when we come back next pod, I'll have my Super 10. But I agreed with your top 5.
Okay, so my Super 10, number 10 is Creekside.
Yeah.
They got Harrison Garrido and Sean Ashenfelder back to an offense that just rained down points last year.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of an interesting defense last year. They gave up a lot of points. I think they can score with anybody, though, with those two guys coming back, at Caleb Taylor-Birch coming back at wideout. They got some talent on Creekside, the offensive. Sean McIntyre is his 8th year. He has built a good offense 4 years in a row for the state playoffs. I got them at 10. At Trinity Christian at 9 to me, and it felt a little low for Trinity, but they lost many guys.
They're very young, too, and they don't have that big, huge name guys. They've got some guys who are going to be really good, and we'll see if they can make a name for themselves. But, again, it's like you got to show me. Like, let's see it. So
they have a lot of young faces.
Definitely.
A lot of young faces. I didn't get a chance to talk to Verlin today, but I know it's one of his youngest teams. We traded texts leading up to the event, but it's one of his youngest teams.
Yeah.
And this is year 34 for him. Just a remarkable career for him. And I've said this on our pods before. You have to appreciate guys like Verlin Dormany, Corky Rogers when they're around, and the Daryl Sutherlands when they're around, because they don't make them like Verlin, like Daryl, like Corky anymore. It's just Marty Lees. Those guys are gems. And so many other good coaches are awesome guys. But the guys that have done this, the Joey Wiles have done this for so long. And
guys don't stick around
in a thankless profession when it comes to money and respect. You don't appreciate you really don't appreciate the guys while they're here for what they do. And Verlin is kind of one of the last of that true old school kind of guy, along with Marty Lee, who've been here forever. Chuck Dickinson at Keystone Heights is retired now. So those guys that have done it for so many years for so little money. I don't know how long Verlin's going to coach, but
I don't either. But
34 years.
It's all going.
One of only 7 coaches in the state to have won 300 games. I think he's 3rd in state history now, 4th in state history in terms of number of wins, 9 state championships, a remarkable career. So appreciate Roland Dormany and the Martys while they're still around. I got Trinity at number 9, Baker County at 8 for me, Bradford at 7. Those two teams, I think they're pretty close. Bradford played for a state title last year, lost to Cocoa. But Bradford's still good.
Definitely, they lost some guys, but they're still going to be really good.
Still good. Jamie Rogers, such a great coach. Kevin Mays at Baker County, same thing. He took that team to the state semis as recently as 3 years ago. They're always good. They have Davion Dean, Seth Chestnut. They're good. They're going to be good. And I love those two guys when they play. It's called the Blood Rivalry, Blood Cup.
For sure.
Great Baker County of Bradford. So I've got Bradford at number 6. Bradford at 7 and Baker County at 8. Cracking into the top 6. Probably have some differentiation down the line. I've got Riverside at 6. They're 9-3 last year.
Riverside right now.
I like Riverside. I mean, I told Antoine Nicholas when we had him on that I respect what they do. They deal with a lot of their homegrown kids. They don't go out and hit the portal and bring in a new starting lineup every year. They do it with guys. O.J. Small had that. We're going to coach the guys we got. We're not going out there and jumping in the portal and getting those guys.
They got a good young crop, too, coming in there, too. So if they can keep that group together, the young guys, with these older guys, they could be a problem the next couple seasons.
So Tayshawn Gelsey, the big tight end, I like him. He could play any position. He could play rush end, I think. He's committed to Florida. I love Miles Kendrick. I think he is a fascinating, fun player to watch.
He's a great
player.
He
catches he does so many good things, special teams. He can turn the ball. Good in the secondary. Just a good receiver. I love Miles Kendrick. I think he's committed to Indiana, but I think he's a sleeper guy. And Tayshawn Shadow a little bit, but man, he's in my Super 16
he's a great
recruits. He's a great guy. So that's my top. It's a 6 through 10. 5, I've got Bartram Trail. Bartram felt they were a little low, but they got a lot of new faces as well. Lathan Biddle, running back, led the state at Florida in rushing last year. He graduated and moved on. New quarterback, and Jaden Weatherly replaces Riley Trillo. Jaden got a lot of playing time last year. The thing I like about Bartram is their offensive line. They bring back just about everybody. They refer to as quarterback high, but, man, they offensive line high. They got a ton of offensive guys.
Little Weatherly's a good player.
He's good. He's good. And he got a lot of playing time. Arthur Lewis the fourth, I like him too. A little bit of a sleeper guy. I do like him. That's my 5th team. 4-3-2-1. Do you like what I have at 4-3-2-1? Reigns at 4.
Good with it.
Bulls at 3. St. Aug at 2. Mandarin at 1.
Yeah, I'm good with that. That'd be my top 4. And I think that's where it should lie right now. And then when the season gets going, maybe we'll have some moving parts. But I definitely think Mandarin is obviously fully loaded. I mean, they were fully loaded last year. Had all those guys coming back basically. Lost a few guys. But I still feel like just the level of the team, when you have a quarterback like Trammell and you have a playmaker like Jamie, you just don't have that too much. And they've been together for the entirety of their Mandarin careers. Then you got a field general, a guy who can just erase everything with stubs in the backfield in the secondary. Then just the other parts, it's just cherry on the top. They've got a couple transfers that are in there too. So it's like they definitely are the team to beat. And then we know we both love St. Augustine.
Right.
And they basically returned that whole kind of offensive system they had with their quarterback play and those stud receivers, so their defense. I was telling, Jamie and those guys, like, I wish that game wasn't the last week of the season. Because it's like, that would be a good middle of the season game because it's like you're going towards the playoffs. So you're like, the whole rest of the starters, if you're in the playoff position, do you need to win this game? Do you not? I just feel like it'd be better suited earlier in the season.
That's a blockbuster of a game.
I'm telling you, man, it's like that's the game of the season, in my opinion.
13-1 Aug last year. The St. Aug went 13-1 and entered 11-4. Both played for championships. That loaded team.
Man, why can't this be like week 6?
I'm interested to see on Mandarin because you've got a lot of seniors on Mandarin. Drake Stubbs, senior. Trammell Jones, Luke 11, senior. Jamie French, senior. Other guys, senior. I mean, you've got a lot of seniors on that team. I saw this with First Coast when First Coast was going through its heyday of getting ringer after ringer. You got a limited amount of time to make that work. Mandarin get a title last year. They've got all these horses that are seniors.
That window is about to be tight.
And in the portal era now in high school football in Florida, those kids are going to go where the talent is.
Definitely.
So, to me, if you're Mandarin, you got to win this year, and you don't know what's going to happen next year. This isn't like when we were in high school, Sponge, where you have kids going to the same school all 4 years. It's open enrollment. You kids and parents are wise enough. They're going to go where the opportunities.
Like, I'm not playing here. I'm not a starter. I'm a backup.
Right.
This team's not good anymore. I'm leaving.
We saw it at First Coast as a prime example. I talked to Marty Lee last week about just that window is so small. I mean, First Coast held the area's attention. They were the talk of the area for about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
DeAndre Johnson was there. He was Mr. Football in his final year. They couldn't get over that hump. Played for a state championship as a freshman. Got knocked out by Apopka a couple years. That window closed decisively when DeAndre Johnson graduated.
Out of there.
And they've not been the same since.
Never. Yeah.
So you had, and that was not in an era which is like now.
Yeah.
The portal came after that, and now kids have that freedom and flexibility to jump whenever they want to. We got kids playing multiple sports at 2 schools, 3 schools in the same school year now.
Yes.
And it's just crazy to me that's it. So Maiden has got to win now. First off, you're losing a boatload of talent in graduation and after the season. Those young guys that transferred over, and they may stay.
Yeah.
They may stay. But
it's the youth.
What it's school next year. I mean, Reigns had a massive influx of guys come over because they want to play with a 5-star in Solomon Thomas. They want a team that can get them that visibility, and that saw with Tebow at Nice exclusively. I mean, kids were coming over free ball.
They want to play with those like a lot of these kids are friends. Now it's gotten so big to where there's so much like camp travel, visit travel, where you're going to schools, getting recruited by a lot of the same schools. So these kids are kind of like friends with each other. It's not like there's there's rivalries and stuff, but they all kind of know each other, especially the big recruited guys. So I saw them in here interacting with each other. And so, so if those guys, are leaving, then who's the next group to be like, okay, well, I want to go play with them. And then, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a whole new landscape of moving and shaking to where you want to go play with either the 5-star or the team that's winning.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. But both of all 3 reigns, St. Aug and Mandarin, they do have a lot of great senior ballers right now that are basically going to be out of there, leaving to go to the next level. So it's who has the young crop, to where the it spot's going to be next year.
Yeah, the it spot can change every year, and Mandarin is the it spot last year and this year because you've got talent everywhere.
Yeah,
Elite 11 quarterback, 5-star receiver, a safety. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to play with that? I saw that when Tebow was at Nice.
Yeah.
When Tebow got there in 2003, Nice was a homecoming game. 2-8 coming off a 2-8 season. They go 5-5 in Tebow's first year, but that attention and that energy was on him like never before.
Yeah.
And by his junior year, people were coming. People were coming trying to get to Nice, and Nice ended up getting slapped with recruiting violations the year after Tebow left in 2006 because there was where there's smoke, there's fire kind of thing. But you have so many kids want to play. And you can't blame parents and kids for that. No. Exposure, visibility. They played an ESPN game on
trying to get my kids to the next
level. Yeah, so you can't blame parents, you can't blame kids for that.
Yeah.
But the window to win now in high school football is so short, and you go through. You're gonna have kids play at 4 schools in 4 years. I've already seen it. It's happening. It's easier to happen now than ever before. But you got to strike while that iron's hot. Maynard's time is hot. Reigns' time is hot. St. Aug's time is hot because you got tons of senior. You got that massive talent. And obviously, who wouldn't want to play with Lyle?
Dude, I was
Jenkins.
That's right. Baby, let's go. Yeah, I just found out one of my kids who played 7-on-7 with us for a long time. He was a West Side guy. He was out at Tecoy, Julio Santiago.
Oh yeah, great player.
He's at St. Augustine now.
I did not know he was at Augustine.
I found out. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like he was literally Tecoy's #1 receiver. Well, guess what? Now he's on that core with Carl and those guys, with Lachlan throwing them the ball. So they just added another weapon to their repertoire.
So who would not want to do that?
That's what I'm saying. That's a prime example of
next year when Lachlan's not there, when Carl's not there, when Samorian's still an underclassman, Trenton Jones is not there. That delegation could move on somewhere else in St. Johns County or even Duval County. Bryson Wright is a St. Augustine kid.
And he's now at Mandarin.
Now he's at Mandarin. But Bryson Wright, I said it to Toby. Toby said, I think this is how maybe Bobby Ramsey felt when Derrick Henry was a freshman.
Okay.
Because, see Bryson Wright, he's a freshman, 14-year-old kid, and he looks big, 6'3".
He might be one of the best players that I've seen, and he's not even, hasn't stepped on the high school field yet.
I'm with you.
Like I say, I saw the kid maybe a year or two ago, in some of those camps, and some of the like FBU stuff and the all-star football games. And I mean, he was like a freak. And you see him doing the stuff he's doing in the JAX not 7-on-7, but flag football league. Okay, it's flag, but like this kid is out here making one-handed catches. You know, so what is he going to look like 2 years from now when he's only a junior?
Right.
You know, I can see he might be one of the most recruited players. I mean, like I say, it doesn't get much bigger than like a Jamie French.
Right.
You know, so it's like he's got to be on that level. But I mean, he's a baller.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in this class of 2025. I think you and I even talked about this 2 years ago, but how many good guys are in this class? You know, Colin Hurley was supposed to still be in this class too. He reclassed. And can you imagine if we had another? Because Colin would have gone to Elite 11. With Trammell, even though Colin went the year before. So this class could have been even bigger and better. The best classes since I've been doing this in my 20s, my 27th year I'm starting this year, is the Derrick Henry class in 2013, where you had Derrick Henry, Laramie Tunzel, DeMarcus Walker, Ahmad Fullwood, those guys. And then you had the year after or 2 years after, you had Kevin Tyler,
the group,
C.C. Jefferson, those guys. And those two classes, not the Tyler class didn't necessarily pan out, but they were massively high recruits.
Right.
But the class in terms of stars, rankings, and everything, to me, the gold standard is the Derrick Henry class of 2013. And the ingredients in that is you're going to have an elite offensive player. To me, that Derrick Henry back then. This year's Jamie French or Elias Williams from Camden.
Right.
You got to have some depth. You got good secondary is helpful. You've got that this year with Drake Stubbs. So this class is
it's
big,
good,
man.
It's good. It's
big. Solomon Thomas.
We got some players in the area, so it's good. I can't wait to when they get going here in a couple weeks to see these guys play and see the highlights and what they're going to do. So this was the day to get it cranked up. They're practicing now, so games are coming soon. So let's get it going.
Man, it's exciting. We've got tons of recruits to talk about this year. NIL. We have so many changes that have come to high school football just in the time. You and I have been doing this News4JAX Varsity 4 podcast, Sponge, and we'll continue to talk about it all throughout the year. But really good seeing coaches today. Marty Lee is just walking behind us. He's coming to his last couple years coaching. He's on the way out and wrapping a bow on a career there. David Penland III, Toby Bullock. So a lot of coaches today. Jamie Rogers, talking players. So really good to kick off today in what was going to be an exciting high school football season. Sponge and I will coming to you every week on the Varsity 4 podcast. Coming to you probably on Tuesday. We'll talk a little bit about the week that was and then the week that is coming up. We got our games of the week starting August 23rd with Reigns at Bowles. That's going to be a blockbuster game.
That's a banger out the gate.
Man, Bowles is going to be good this year. I've got them ranked 3 in my Super 10. Reigns is 4. Week 1 out of the gate. So many great players have played in that Bowles-Reigns rivalry. Mac Jones is played that rivalry. He's now with the Jags. So asked Mac if he was going to be going to that game, but Jags have a game, away game that night, that Friday night on August 23rd. But man, so many good storylines coming to you this season. It is right around the corner. August 16th in Georgia, August 23rd in Florida. We got a full 11 weeks of high school football games of the week coverage. Taking to the playoffs. We got a Varsity 4 newsletter, all kinds of stuff on all platforms, News4JAX.com, newsletters, podcasts, video, everything. We got it covered all year long. But that'll wrap up our first edition of the Varsity 4 podcast. For Sponge Franklin, Justin Barney, thanks for joining us. Make sure you check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube. Find us anywhere. Thanks for joining us.